Hello, I'm Teacher Daniel, and this is today we're going to talk about grammar, a little bit of grammar, about adverbs of frequency. This is the second video on this topic, so we're going to jump right into it, okay? So in the first video, you already know what the adverbs of indefinite frequency are, okay? There are 6 of them, okay? So, and they are always, usually, often, sometimes, seldom, and never. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is placement. Where do they appear in the sentence? They are a little bit more picky about where they want to be in a sentence, okay? Unlike other adverbs, which are less picky, there's more flexibility, there's more choices where you can put the words in a sentence. This is less true for adverbs of indefinite frequency, okay? So we have to talk about where to put these words, okay? Okay, so today we're going to talk about placement. Placement means where to put the words, okay? Where do I put always, often, usually, sometimes, never, seldom in a sentence? Where do I put it, okay? So where do I put these words in a sentence, okay? Well, actually only 2 rules, okay? And a few exceptions, but let's just look at the 2 rules. Now the 2 rules are quite simple, but like everything else, you have to train yourself to understand it. All right. Okay. So the first rule is that you put the adverbs of frequency before common verbs. Okay. So it's going to appear before whatever the common verb is for that sentence. Now, if you don't know what a common verb is, don't let this word fool you. It's actually quite easy. A common verb is all the verbs that you have studied, like go and eat and drink, and pretty much all the verbs that you know, okay, including when they change to buys, add s, right? Yes, the third person singular s, okay? All the verbs, they're just all the verbs that run, okay? And even in some cases, ran, yes, you can use adverbs of frequency with the past tense. We're not going to talk about that in this video, but common verbs are just all the verbs that you know, or love, or like. These are all common verbs, okay? So you place, you put the adverbs of frequency before common verbs, okay? All the verbs you know, okay? That's the first rule. Very important rule, the first rule. But what is the second rule? The second rule says, well, you put the adverbs of frequency after, behind, after the be verb and everything else, okay? And everything else. Everything else. Well, what is everything else? Everything else means everything that is not a common verb. Everything that is not go, eat, drink, buy, run, skate, fly, jump, drive, ride. Everything that is not those words, okay? You have to put the adverbs of frequency after them. What are they? We will talk about that in another video because today we only have time to talk about rule number 1, okay? We're just going to talk about rule number 1. But I wanted to differentiate between what a common verb is and mainly what the be verb is, okay? And by now, you should already know that the be verb is very special in English, okay? It just does different things differently from other verbs, okay? All right, so let's begin, okay? Today we're going to focus in this video on rule number 1, putting the adverbs of indefinite frequency before verbs, okay? All right, here we go. So rule number 1, before verbs. All right, good. Let's look at the first example. I never go out at night. Where is the verb? It's right here. It's the word go. Where is, I don't like that color. Let's do that again. Let's do this color. How's that? No, I don't like that either. How about just to do, I never go out at night, okay? Notice, this is the common verb. And look at the adverb of frequency. Where is never? It is before. It is on this side, on the left side of go, right? It is before the verb go. So I never go. Not I go never. You don't put it on this side. You don't put it on this side. No, right? That doesn't make sense. You put it before go. I never go, right? I never go out at night. So notice that's what the first rule says. That's all it says, okay? All right, so let's continue. My friend never showers in the morning, okay? Where is the verb? The verb is shower. Shower means to take a shower. So my friend never showers in the morning. See that? Never appears before shower. Not after, but before, right? Again, it isn't here. It isn't my friend showers never. No, this is wrong, okay? It's before. My friend never showers in the morning, okay? Now, you might ask, what if I want to say my friend, well, we'll do that later, okay? So again, this is wrong. This is right, okay? Wrong, no good. Right, good, okay? My friend never showers in the morning. Let's look at another example. She often fights in school. Okay, she often fights in school. Notice, here's the word fight. Okay, right? Has an S because it's third person singular, just like showers, right? Remember that. And notice the word often appears before fight. Okay, not after, not here. One more time, not here. Not here, this is wrong. She fights often. No, we don't say that. We say she often fights. She often fights. No, she often fights. Now you might ask, what if I want to say, no, she doesn't do that? What if I want to say, negate this sentence? I want to say no, right? And of course, you know, in sentences like this, you have to add the word don't, okay? So, she don't often fights. Wait a minute, you can't say that. You have to say she doesn't, right? Remember, the S, the third person singular S, flies over to join the first verb in the sentence, right? Okay, so this becomes fight and this becomes doesn't. So she doesn't often fight. Notice it doesn't change the fact that often is before the common verb fight. You see that? Doesn't mean anything. This word doesn't mean anything. fight is the common verb and often appears before fight. It doesn't go anywhere. It is still before the word fight. Okay? It is still before the word fight. It is still before the common verb. It doesn't jump over here. It's still before this, the common verb. So the rule before the common verb applies. It's not broken. Okay? The rule is not broken. Often still is right before the word fight. It is not broken. All right? Even if we add the negation. Okay? So we can add the negation. We can take it away. It's still correct. We just have to put the S back. Right? Or we can negate the sentence and then it's still correct because often is still before the word fight. You see? It is before fight. Before fight. Okay? Let's continue. Let's look at another example. We're going to look at these examples one at a time so that you can get the proper training to understand what's happening. Okay? My mother usually cooks dinner. Okay? Notice the common verb is cook. And where is the adverb of frequency? It is before the word cook, right? Usually cooks. Not cooks usually, but usually cooks. Okay? What happens when you add don't? When you negate the sentence, same thing. This rule, usually and cook, their relative positions don't change, right? So they go together. You can't break them apart now because the rule says that usually goes before cook. The adverb of frequency goes before cook, the common verb. So even if I add, my mother doesn't, right, cook, usually cook dinner, this doesn't change the order of these two words. It doesn't change the order of usually and cook. It doesn't change the order. It doesn't change the order, okay? Right, it still usually cooks, okay? Okay, let's look at another example. I sometimes clean the house with my sister. What is the common verb? It is clean. Where is the adverb of frequency? It's right here, right before it. It is before the verb. This is before the verb. Sometimes clean. I sometimes clean the house with my sister. Again, even if I negate the sentence with the word don't, it doesn't change the position, the placement of sometimes and clean. It is still sometimes and clean. The rule is the same. Here is the verb, and this is the adverb of frequency, and it is before it. Okay? Let's go on. Dr. Lin usually works 10 hours a day. What is the common verb? The common verb is works. Where is the adverb? It is before the common verb. Usually works, right? And that doesn't change. Okay, even if we negate the sentence, right? Even if we negate the sentence with doesn't, here the position doesn't change. Okay, as we have said many times now. Okay, one more, a couple of more examples. Just one more then. Okay, they seldom go to bed after 10. Okay, they seldom go to bed after 10. That means they usually sleep early, but sometimes, very few times out of a period of time, they sleep after 10 o'clock. Okay, that doesn't matter. Here is the common verb go, and here's the word seldom. It appears before go, right? And where would you put don't? You put it right here. You never disturb this fact that the adverb goes before the verb, okay? We will talk about these when we are live, okay? But let me say a couple of more things, okay? No grammatical rules are written in stone, okay? What does that mean? Well, what does it mean in Chinese? I'll show you, just a quick flash. Okay, 1, 2, 3, stop. What does that mean? Okay, it means that there are no rules that are not broken. Okay, so having said all that I said about the verb, the adverbs of frequency going before the verb, there are exceptions. That's just the way it is, right? English rules are never 100%, okay? There are always exceptions. So there are 3 exceptions, okay? There are actually more than 3 exceptions, but there are 3 exceptions that I want you to think about, okay? Try to remember, all right? Now, the core, the basic thing is what I have already said. If you know this much, everything that I said, if you know rule 1, that's good for this video. If you can just remember rule 1, that's good enough. But let's go a little bit further and see if you can remember these 3 exceptions. All right, the way I like to think about it is this. Usually, the word usually is a little bit naughty. See, that's a naughty face, okay? All right, so we talked about this example already, right? My mother usually cooks dinner. Here is the common verb, and here's the adverb of frequency, usually, and it's right here as being a nice boy. But you see, usually it's a little bit naughty. It doesn't like to stay there. Sometimes it likes to move all the way to the beginning of the sentence. It likes to move from here to here, all right? And it does that because it's a naughty boy. And it can do that, all right? So that is one exception to the rule. So usually follows the rules. It appears before the common verb, but sometimes it breaks the rules and it appears at the very beginning of the sentence. Continue. Another example, right? Dr. Lin usually works 10 hours a day. Well, it's being a nice boy staying here in front of the verb. But again, it's a naughty boy. Sometimes it likes to move itself here, okay? I shouldn't say it's a naughty boy, it's a naughty word, I should say, right? Sometimes it moves itself here to the beginning of the sentence, and that's all it can do, all right? Now let's look at these other words. Here's the word often. Now often is even a naughtier word than usually. Okay, so it's got 2 naughty faces right next to it because it's a naughtier word. Okay, what do I mean? Well, let's see. She often fights in school. We talked about that. She often fights. And here's often being a nice word, staying right before the common verb. Okay, she often fights in school. But often is a naughty word. Sometimes it moves itself to the beginning of the sentence. Okay, away from the common verb. Okay, it moves all the way to the beginning of the sentence. And it gives us often she fights in school. And often is even naughtier than usually because it moves itself sometimes even to the end of the word, as in she fights in school often. So often is a doubly naughty word than usually. Usually moves itself to the beginning, often moves itself to the beginning and the end of the sentence. Okay, so it's a doubly naughty word, often. So these are two exceptions for the placement of the words usually and often. There is a third exception, okay? And the third exception is sometimes. And sometimes is equally as naughty as often. It does exactly the same thing, so they are probably best friends or something. Sometimes, in the first example, sometimes is here, just before the common verb, but it moves itself to the beginning, just like often does, okay? It moves itself to the beginning. Sometimes I clean the house with my sister, and then it also moves itself to the end, like often. And it gives us, I clean the house with my sister sometimes, okay? So here are the exceptions, okay? The three exceptions, the three naughty exceptions. Usually, often, and sometimes, some are exceptions to the rule that adverbs of frequency appear before common verbs, okay? Before common verbs, right? So that is the end of our video. When we watch in the next video, part 3, we will be looking at, again, adverbs of frequency when it is used together with be and everything else, okay? It gets a little bit complicated. So you may rewatch this video or the first video again to get a good foundation for this topic. Okay, I'm Teacher Daniel, and thank you for watching this video.